Answer. By that time, they did not tie us up yet, and later on they said that Angkar requested to tie us up because they were afraid that we might conceal a knife or any weapon on our body. Question. After your group was tied, what did they do next? Answer. Our hands were tied behind our back, and then they walked us to a vehicle which was about 20 meters away from us. They then threw us onto that vehicle. Question. After you were thrown onto their vehicle, what did you observe? Answer. When I was in that vehicle, there were many people there. The vehicle was about half full. I saw people who were topless, and they wore only a short, and I saw blood on their bodies. Question. Can you tell the chamber in details about how you felt upon seeing that? Answer. I was so scared, as I was afraid that we would be taken away and killed. My heart was pounding and my hands were tied. I was so scared, and I knew that I would be taken away and killed, and I tried to remove the rope that my hands were tied to. Question. When you were so afraid and that you wanted to loosen the tie, what happened? Answer. They pulled me and they wanted to hit me with a rifle butt, but the other one said that I would be killed anyway. So then they used another jute rope to double the tie. Question. So it means that they tied another layer of a rope. And if that is the case, were you the only one who were double tied? Answer. All of us, the 9 of us, were tied another layer, including the women. Question. And in the vehicle that you were in, can you tell the chamber from your observation how many women were there? Answer. There were 4 women. Question. And how many people were there altogether on that vehicle? Answer. From what I could see, there were about 40 of us. Question. And when the truck departed, can you tell the chamber where you were taken to, or did you know where you were taken to before the vehicle stopped?
បាទគេដឹកទៅប្រហែលចំនួន
Answer. It took us about 15 minutes to arrive at the place where we would be executed. Question. So when the truck arrived there, what did they do? Whether they asked the people on the truck to get off or they walked the people?
បាទរីន
Answer. They put the female people first. Question. When it's time for your turn, what did they do to you? Answer. They kicked me off the truck and walked me. There were 4 or 5 of them who accompanied me. Question. Where did they walk you to? And what did they do to you? Please elaborate on this aspect. Answer. They walked me, and there were also some others who were guarding me, and they walked me to the south. And when we arrived at the execution site, they beat me with an axe, and I lost my consciousness. And during my unconsciousness, my feeling were that I ran to tell my parents that in fact they did not take me to study, they took me to be executed. And a while later, I regained my consciousness, and there were 4 or 5 people on top of my body. And at that time, I saw many dead people all around me. Some of them, the bodies were swollen and with worms. So when I regained the consciousness, I tried to relieve myself from the strings, and finally I managed to get myself rid of the strings. At that time, I heard the Khmer soldiers ordering the people to be executed to sit down, and they beat with the sound poof poof, and the people who were killed fell down into the well. So all the male were executed first, and the last one were the females. And I thought to myself, they took the female out of the truck first. Why they kill the female last? And after they beat all the females into the well, some of them who fell into the well did not die yet. They were still survived, and they shouted for help from their parents. And I kept in the well listening to what would happen next. Because some of the people who were beat and pushed into the well were still survived and were shouting for help from their parents. It was at that time after they finished beating all the people who were brought to the execution site. They shouted at those who still survived in the well, "Why were you keeping shouting?" So the Khmer Rouge soldier threw a grenade into the well to finish off those who were still survived in the well. And after that first grenade blasted, there were still a few in the well who still survived. So the Khmer Rouge threw another grenade into the well, and then there was silence, no more noise. There was only me in the well who still survived, and I tried to listen to them, and I heard the sound of their vehicles going back. So after the truck leaves, I tried my best to get myself out of the well. I tried to look for any survival in the well, but there were no one survived. There was only me alone. So I tried my best to climb up the well. I did not know whether that well was a well or was a toilet, because the smell in that well was so stingy. So there were swollen bodies all in the well. And I tried to ask for anyone who may have survived, but there was no one survived, because the grenade blast destroyed their bodies. So I told myself that I had to try my best to climb up the well, but after several attempts, I could not. So finally, I tried to put the dead bodies on top of each other so that I could step on them to climb up the well. I realized that I had 3 cuts on the back of my head when they beat me. I tried to pray to my parents and my ancestors to help me out of the well. And I tried to step on the dead body to climb up the well. And at the time that I was climbing up, I was also trying to listen to the sound outside, and I heard the sound of footsteps coming to the well. So I put the dead bodies that I piled up back to the same place, and I concealed myself beneath the dead bodies. And one of the Khmer Rouge soldier who came said that it seems that there were survivors in the well, so he threw another grenade into the well.
ពេលវាគប់គ្រាប់បែក
When they threw the grenade in the morning into the well, the grenade affected the bodies on top of me, but not affected me. And the Khmer Rouge put soil into the well. So I tried to climb up and to have a look if they were still there. I would ask them to throw grenade at me or to shoot at me. But they were not still there. They were not there. So I attempted to climb up again, and there were a lot of blood on the soil that the Khmer Rouge put into the well. I swore to myself that I would try to survive. I asked the soul of those who died in the well to help me to survive. And I asked for their soul to help me to get out of the well. And I promised to them that I would find justice for them because they cheated us. They said that we would be taken to study. They told us that we would be sent to study, but instead sent us to be killed. So I told all the souls of the dead body in the well that if I manage to escape from the well, I would find justice for them. So I told myself that I would try to climb up 3 times, and if the 3 attempts failed, I would shout out to them, asking them to come back and shoot at me or blast my body with their grenade. So after I prayed like that, I tried to climb up by using my hands and my legs and my back against the wall of the well. And after one attempt, I fell down, so I became very frustrated. I was in great despair.
Monsieur la partie civile.
Mr. Civil Party, perhaps I have one last question to ask you. In order to conclude this first session, and please tell me if you don't feel up to answering this question, can you explain to the Chamber what were the physical and psychological effects of the event that you have just described? And do you still today have physical and psychological scars following this event?
បាទខ្ញុំនិយាយ
Answer. Let me finish my story. When I attempted again, it seems that the dead body of my comrade pushed me from below, and I managed to escape the well. And when I escaped the well, I realized that it was not the well. In fact, it was the French toilet. I saw two Khmer Rouge soldiers stand guarding about 100 meters away. And I tried to walk backward. There were scars of wounds on my head. At that time, after I walked into the banana plantation, I started to run. And I saw the Khmer Rouge walking in the distance, so I thought to myself that if those Khmer Rouge saw me, they would arrest me again. So I tried to conceal myself. I was so hungry at that time, while my head was still bleeding. I tried to find 3 leaves to eat, but I could not eat well because my mouth was swollen and soaring. Finally, I arrived at my home, and I told my parents that they did not take me to study. In fact, they took me to be executed. On the way that I ran to my home, I saw a small boy aged around 16 who were herding the cow, and I asked him why you came here, and he told me that he came to herd the cows. My apology. I would like to tell you that on the way that I escaped, I saw a horse cart that was also transporting people to be killed. So I kept on waiting and waiting until there was no presence of people traveling on the road. So I continued my journey. The boy who herded the cow told the Khmer Rouge, and they came to chase me. So I ran into the banana plantation. I ran to the north. And once I got into the banana plantation, I changed the direction of my escape to the south. And I kept on running and running. I hid myself in the forest and waited until night time. I was so hungry at that time. I encountered the bean plantation. So I collected some beans to eat. And during the bean eating, I saw the ghost of my mother. And she told me to keep on running. I walked with great difficulty through the jungles under the blanket of night time. Finally, I arrived at a small cottage of Tribunal. I could not make my journey forward anymore because my body was so weak and smelly, and my head was swollen. And I seemed to lose my consciousness, and I heard a voice that telling me, get up, continue your journey, because they are coming. When I looked to the east, I saw some glimpse of light. So I walked across the small stream and I took off my shirt to wash the shirt in the stream and to clean my body. And then I continued my journey. It was about 100 meters. And I felt itchy in my head because worms were trying to get inside the wounds on my head. So I used my hand to touch something soft on my head, and I realized that those soft things were in fact worms. So I told myself that I had to get home, otherwise I would die on the way. So it took me about half an hour. I tried to climb up the stream and continued my journey until I arrived at my home, and I knocked on the door of my home and called to my father to open the window and asked him to help get the worms out of my head. He asked me, you told me that you went to study. Why you came back home? I told him that they did not take me to study. In fact, they took me to be killed. At that time, my father put patrols on the wounds of my head. And he tried to hide me in the house by arranging a mosquito net and putting me inside that mosquito net. I had a stepmother her siblings and her brother were taken away to be killed with me. I told her that those people were taken away to be killed. And those people who were taken away to be killed disappeared until nowadays. I concealed myself inside the house and I received food from my stepmother who brought those food from the kitchen hall. And those people at the kitchen hall asked my stepmother why she took the food, and she told them that she took the food to give to the dogs. And I got only one small bowl of rice to eat with salt. I was so hungry, I was so scared, and my father was so panicked. Each time before he went out to work, he walked 2 or 3 times around the house. He told me that I had to hide myself inside the house because if they find out that I was inside, the whole family would be killed. My father brought in sky sreng and lahong kwong and put them into the bamboo tube and put the bamboo tube on the fire in order to be used to heal my wounds. My father became ill. Since my return from the execution site on the 25th of May 1975 until late 78, they evicted people in my village to Kampong Thom, and some of my villagers escaped into the forest, into the flooded forest. So I hid myself with my father in the forest, and because his illness became severe, he died in the forest.
Mr. Civil Party, to conclude this first part of your hearing, I would like to ask you one last question. In your Civil Party application, you indicated in E3/4802 in Section 6 that when you were thinking of the things that you recounted to the court today, that memories come back to you each time that you go by the places where the Khmer Rouge tortured you. And you indicated, I'm anxious, I lose consciousness, and I try to avoid passing by the execution site. Can you tell us what suffering you still experience at this time when you think back on the events that you described to the chamber today?
But
when I was in the village, and after 1979, people asked me to go to see the execution site, but I was scared to go there. Because each time when I approached that site, I almost fainted because I could not hold my feeling when I saw the site. All the people who were taken away with me are all died, except me alone who survived. I was sorrowful and terrified. Each time I thought about that event, I told myself that I could not go back to that execution site because it always haunted me, made me scary.
Thank you, Civil Party. And maybe a last question, Mr. President, if you please allow me to. You spoke about your wounds on your head. Do you still today have physical scars of this event?
Yes, there are 3 scars on my head, and they remain until today.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Civil Party. Thank you, Mr. President. We will now give the floor to the other parties.
Thank you, and I hand the floor to the co-prosecutors.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning to all parties. Good morning, Civil Party. I know that it's difficult for you to remember what happened, and therefore I'm going to start with questions that are not directly tied to the episode of your survival in this well. First, can you tell us if in your commune of Pratit and Ureng district were people, new people during the Khmer Rouge regime, as well as Cham, were such people sent there? Did you see them there?
បាទប្រជាជន
In my village, there were no new people. New people were living in the other villages, and there were no Chams as well living in my village.
What do you know about the new people who were settled in other villages? What did the Khmer Rouge do with them? Did they treat them in a special way or not?
New people were taken away and killed at a well called Dasien. It was in the village. They were all killed in that well.
Were all the new people killed, or only certain categories of the new people?
They were new people. Also, there were former medics who were arrested, and some people were also arrested from mobile units, and they were killed. I did not witness this. I only heard from other people saying about that. And people said that at the well of Dong Khao Sien, it was filled with bodies, and some women were raped before they were killed, and their bodies were naked and lying in that well.
what about the former soldiers and civil servants of Lon Nol? Were they particularly targeted by the Khmer Rouge back then?
I do not know about the former soldiers.
In your supplementary information form E3/6147 at little a, you said that you met Sao Pim, the Khmer Rouge leader Sao Pim. It's at Khmer page 00581460, French 0011397990, and English 01069283. Can you tell us under which circumstances you met Sao Pim? And was it during a meeting, was it during a gathering, or was it during another kind of event?
បាទជួប
I met him a long time ago, and that happened before the regime took control of the country. And the year was around 74 or 75.
During the regime after 17 April 1975, did you meet your district chief during meetings, or the region chief of Region 22?
No, I did not. Because at that time I was hiding inside the house and I never went out.
But yes, but I was speaking about the moment when you were the deputy chief of the mobile unit in your commune of Pratiet, and you were therefore the deputy leader of the mobile unit of Kortonsai. So then, did you meet any leaders in the sector?
No, I did not.
Can you tell us what happened to the head of the mobile unit, the one who appointed you to be deputy chief? I think his name was Samet. What happened to him?
He had been taken away and killed before I was taken away.
And do you know which group took him away?
I did not know which group took him, because at that time he was called out and I did not know who took him away.
Earlier you said that at the execution site where you were thrown into this well, there were people from the southwest. Do you remember when the cadres of the southwest arrived in your sector, in the east zone?
They came 3 or 4 months before I was taken away.
In your civil party application E3/4802 at Khmer page 00516888, French 00 95 0201 and English 0091 6885. You provided us with a specific year, and I quote, in 1977, I saw new individuals arrived in the village who were known as people from the Southwest Zone because of their accent. And they started spying in order to know the activities of each one of us. And they were targeting those who had high positions in society, such as district governors, or sector leaders, or army leaders, or hierarchical leaders whom they would send to follow training classes. However, later on, we never saw these people come back. End of quote, free translation. Must I therefore understand from what you said in this form that before you were brought away on 25 May 1978, they had already been purges of local cadres that were carried out by people from the Southwest?
Yes, they were the Southwest group people. President, it is now convenient for a 15-minute break. We take a break now and resume after. And court officer, please assist the civil party during the break time and invite him as well as the TPL staff back into the courtroom before we resume the proceedings. The court is now in recess. Please be seated. The court is now back in session, and I once again hand the floor to the co-prosecutor, and you only have 10 more minutes to finish your questioning.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think I'll only need 5 or 6 minutes. Mr. Civil Party, you said earlier that when you were put into the truck, which took you away not to a training session, but to be executed, that your hands were tied. I think you also spoke about the faults you were accused of, at least in your civil party application. 0051 6889 in Khmer, in English 0091 6885, and in French 00950202. This is what you said about the 25th of May 1978. And I quote, "The people from the Southwest Zone said to us, 'Sirs, you have all committed faults. Allow me to tie up your hands in case you have knives or grenades.' And a bit further, you said, 'Ankar does not trust you.'" End quote. Did you ever find out what the exact faults you were accused of were, all of you, the 9 people that had been arrested, and why Ankar no longer trusted you?
But
They did not accuse me of any wrongdoing. The Southwest Zone forces told us that, "Brother, we needed to tie you up because our Ankar did not trust you."
Est-ce que vous avez jamais entendu
Did you ever hear the Southwest cadres or army talk about the fact that Sao Pim and the other leaders of the East Zone were traitors to the country or the party?
បាទឮខ្លះដែរប៉ុន្តែ
Yes, I heard some of such stories, but I heard from words of mouth.
Alors, vous avez été emmené avec
So you were taken away with 2 other people from your village, Sanban, I believe, and Sat and Dup, along with another 6 persons that you noted from another village but in the same commune. So these 8 other people, were they simple villagers, simple residents, or were they young cadres a bit like you, who you were deputy leader of the mobile unit? Did they also have such responsibilities or not?
បាទគាត់មាននីតួ
Yes, they were deputies of company or units.
Alors après
So after having escaped death on the 25th of May 1978 and having come back to you, Father, did you ever find out in one way or another if the purges or arrests continued during the following months, the months that followed May 1978 in the Southwest Zone?
បាទឮតែតតាម
Because I were hiding inside the house, I only heard about those arrests from words of mouth.
Et dernière question, parce que
And my next question, because there's something that I didn't understand when I was reading the supplementary information form E3/6147A. I don't think I'd given the ERNs because there's practically just one page there. When exactly were you married? Was it between 17 April 1975 and the 7th of January 1979, or was it during another period?
I got married after I was taken away to be killed. It was almost 1979.
donc presque
So almost in 1979. You said at the end of 1978 you were hiding in the forest, and your father died at around that time. So what were the circumstances that this marriage took place in? Was it in the forest, outside of the forest? Could you clarify a bit more the date or the period?
The marriage took place at my house. I had my fiancée a long time ago. So when I returned to my home, I asked my stepmother to ask her whether she still loved me and wanted to marry me, because while I was having wounds on my head, and she agreed, so the marriage took place secretly at my home.
donc alors est-ce
So then, was this a quote-unquote official marriage? Were there Khmer Rouge present? Or did this take place just among your family at the house?
It was a secret marriage.
Merci, monsieur la partie civile.
Thank you, Mr. Civil Party. I have no further questions.
President, thank you, co-prosecutor. Now I would like to give the floor to the defense counsel for Nuon Chea to put questions to the civil party, and you have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Mr. Civil Party. Both my national colleague and I have some questions for you. Let me start by asking you first how you are certain that the day the events took place that you described this morning was the 25th of May 1978.
I remember the date because on that day I had a watch on my wrist. It happened on the 25th of May.
Do you know whether something else also happened on the 25th of May 1978?
I don't know any other thing else. I knew only that on the 25th of May, I was called to study.
Are you aware that the 25th of May 1978 is a very important day in the East Zone?
I don't know. What I remembered was that the date shown on my watch was 25th, and I wrote in my notebook that it was 25th May 1978.
Do you know whether on that day there was massive fighting between East Zone forces and Center forces?
No, I did not know.
Have you not heard that day or other days sounds of heavy fighting?
Yes, I heard sporadic fighting nearby. But I had no idea whether it was a large-scale fighting.
Let me read to you an excerpt from an interview that one of the East Zone district leaders gave to a scholar called Steve Hedder. That is document E3/387, English ERN 00350-224, Khmer 00379-509, and French 00441443. But we fought to liberate those who Pol Pot forces had arrested, but we failed. On the morning of 25 May, the fighting broke out in the area of Tnal Tortung, where there were a few crossroads, one to O Ring Ul, the other to Tun Lo Bet Song. The fighting broke out there was conducted by the forces of handicapped people within the area who were about to be arrested. In the same morning, another fight happened in the area of Tonlebet, conducted by the forces of the Commerce Office of the zone. Thereafter, another fighting broke out in the area of Chon Akrang, lathe factory of the zone. And Uk Bun Chun continues to talk about massive fighting. So does Heng Sam Rin, and so does Chia Sim. Are you sure that the day that you remembered is because of your watch, or is it because of the massive fighting that started between the East Zone forces and the other forces?
I knew the date because of my watch. I did not know about the fighting that you have just mentioned. On that particular date, I was arrested and sent out.
Had you or the others that you described earlier this morning engaged in battle? Were you involved in fighting yourself as a deputy chief of mobile forces?
បាទខ្ញុំជាកងចល័តអនុ
I was the deputy of the mobile unit, but it was not a military unit. It was simply a youth mobile unit.
I understand, but were you or others somehow involved in the battle, in the armed conflict with the center forces?
បាទខ្ញុំអត់ដឹង
No, I was not aware of it.
You spoke earlier about Sao Pim. You told the chamber that you had met him in 74. On what occasion did you meet Sao Pim? What was the reason that you saw him?
បាទកាលនោះ
At that time, I was driving a horse cart to transport the resin.
Did you meet Sao Pim afterwards, before the 25th of May, 1978?
បាទមិនដែលជួប
No, I have never met him again.
Do you know what happened to Sao Pim on the 3rd of June 1978?
But មិនដឹងទេ
No, I did not know because I was based at the mobile unit. And after the 25th, I remained hiding in the house.
How did you know that the soldiers who were involved in the events that you described this morning were from the southwest zone? Did you know any of them?
They spoke with Khmer accent. They did not speak in the same way as us. So I concluded that those who speak with such an accent were from the southwest zone.
Can you explain the difference between accent of soldiers coming from places like Kampot or Takio, or differ from accent from people who come from where you are from?
I do not know. I do not know which province or district they came from. I only knew that they came from the southwest zone.
I understand that that's what you said, but can you explain what the difference is in accent between those people and forces from the east zone?
They spoke with an accent. I mean those who came from the southwest zone, and that was the difference.
Do you remember something specific, the use of a certain word that made you conclude that those soldiers from the south were from the southwest zone and not soldiers from the east zone?
បាទខ្ញុំមានចាំអ្វីសោះ
I cannot recall any other thing about them. I only recalled that they spoke with an accent.
My last question is there anyone who can somehow corroborate the events that you described this morning? Is there anyone who can confirm the things that you described this morning, or are you the only one that can testify as to the things that happened to you?
Only I alone knew about this. No one else knew about it.
My national colleague has some more questions.
President, the floor is given to the National Council.
សូម
National Council. Good morning, parties in the chamber, and good morning, Mr. Civil Party. My name is Lee Savanna. I am the National Council in the defense team for Nunji. I have a number of questions to put to you. First one is, after my colleague raised the question about the accent, the speaking with accents, could you please give an examples of a particular words that they spoke with a different accents from yours? Answer. They spoke with an accent, but I had no ideas whether that accent is linked to a particular place or district. Question. Could you please give us one or two examples of words which they spoke with a different accents from your place? Answer. People in my area did not speak with that kind of accents. Those who speak with that kind of accents were those from the southwest zone. So people said that those who speak with a different accents were from the southwest zone. Because all of us in that area speak with a different accent. Question. When you knew that those who speak with a different accent were those from the southwest zone, you knew about this after 1979 or during DK regime? Answer. I knew when they took me away to be killed, and they spoke with me with a different accent. Question. Now I turn my question to something about your marriage. When you got married to your wife, was your wife in the mobile unit or was she working in the village? Answer. She was in the mobile unit. But the marriage took place in the village, and it took place nearly the times that the country was liberated. In question, in document E3/6147A, EON Khmer 00 5814 59 English 00 01 69253 and French 011 39790. In the document, you mentioned that there were 20 pairs of couples who were arranged to marry. I would like to know that among the 20 couples, were they all from the same village with you or from different village? Answer. The 20 couples were from different villages. Question. Can you remember the date of your marriage and how many couples were arranged to marry in your village on that day? Answer. It was a secret marriage because I just returned from the execution event and I was still recovering from my wounds. There were no other couples. There were only a few older people attended my marriage. President, Counsel, your question is outside the scope. Counsel, because I would like to clarify to the questions raised by the co-prosecutors about the marriage, and that's why I added some more questions focusing on his marriage. President, but the witness came here to give the testimony, the statement on his harm and suffering, and your time is also running out, Counsel. President, Counsel, please turn on the microphone. Counsel, a while ago, you mentioned that those who were arrested from your village along with you were deputies of the companies, and there were also others who were arrested from other villages, especially Comrade Chet. What was the position of Comrade Chet? President, civil party, please wait until your microphone is activated. Answer. Comrade Chet was the deputy of the mobile unit. Question, what about Comrade Hum? Answer. There were no Comrade Hum, but there were only Comrade Khmun and Comrade Chet and Comrade Dep, who was also deputies of the mobile unit, and Comrade Pat and Comrade Ban, who were all deputies of the mobile unit. Question, a while ago, you said that there were new people and medics who were also taken away with you. So how many new people were taken away with you? Answer. No, there weren't. There were only us who were deputies of mobile units and those who were brought from the upper regions. Question. But a while ago, you also mentioned that new people and medics were also taken along with you to be killed. Answer. It was later on, toward the time when the country was almost liberated. President, Council, your time has run out. Now I give the floor to the Defense Counsel for Khieu Samphan. You may now proceed. President, Council, you have 15 minutes.
À tous, bonjour.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning to all of you. Good morning, Civil Party. I have a few questions of clarification to put to you. You said that after having succeeded in escaping, after having been arrested and taken away to the latrine that you spoke about, you said that you returned to your parents' village and that you hid there. So did I understand your testimony properly?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you remain hiding at your parents' until January 1979, until the Vietnamese arrived?
I remained hiding, and I heard people said that the Khmer Rouge would come in to kill us. So I left the house and allowed myself to be seen by people who lived nearby.
I don't understand very clearly. When was that? What was the exact date when you left your home?
Please repeat your question. I'm not really sure when you said I left the house.
In my French translation, I heard that you remained hiding, but that at one point you left your home and that people were able to see you. So my question was, when did you leave your parents' home, and when were the people able to see you then?
It was in late 1978. Because by that time some areas were occupied by those liberation groups, and they also knew that the regime killed the people. So this happened before the fall of the regime in 1979.
Again, to try to understand more clearly, when you arrived, you said therefore that you stayed at your parents', and that your marriage was secret and took place in your parents' home. Did I understand your testimony properly?
Yes, that is correct. I got married not long after the regime fell. Rather before the regime fell.
when you got married, were you still hiding? So this is not when you showed yourself to the rest of the people, if I understood correctly.
Yes, by that time people knew me and they came to see me that I was the sole survivor from that ordeal.
Well, I need more clarification. When you say that the people knew me, you mean only your family knew that you were there and the rest of the village knew that you were hiding at your parents'? I didn't understand.
Because they knew that I survived from the execution, so people did not believe the Southwest group. And by that time, their actions were known everywhere, that is, towards the end of the regime. And people who lived in the village and commune knew about my ordeal.
Est-ce que
And those in charge of your village and those in charge of your commune, were these people from the southwest or were these people from your sector?
The commune chief towards the end of the regime was a Southwest person, and before that the commune chief was someone who was illiterate and who was appointed to lead the commune.
et est-ce que
And this commune chief from the southwest, was he aware that you were at your parents before the Vietnamese arrived?
No, the commune chief did not know about that.
et le chef du
And what about the village chief?
The village chief knew about it.
et je voudrais
And now regarding the last point of my questions, you spoke therefore about your marriage. You said that your marriage was secret, and at the same time in document E3/6147A, which was quoted by my colleague earlier in Khmer 00581460, French ERN 011399790, English ERN 01069283. You say that there were 20 couples getting married that day. So my question is, was this a secret marriage or was this a collective marriage?
There were multiple couples during the marriage, and it was a private ceremony.
Et
And who conducted the marriages? Was the village chief present?
No, only parents from both sides present, and there were a few elders.
le mariage
And so this marriage of the 20 couples took place at your parents' home, correct?
The 20 couple marriage was held at the commune's office.
So my question is, why are you saying that the marriage was secret if the marriages took place at the commune office?
The marriage was not in secret because the announcement was made throughout the commune. Here I refer to the 20 couple marriage ceremony, but for my marriage, it was private. I was not part of the 20 couple marriage, and during my private marriage, there were only a few people present.
D'accord, donc
Fine. So when you say in your supplementary information form, and I'd like to quote here, I got married during the Khmer Rouge regime, and it was not by force. I volunteered myself. During the collective marriages, there were 20 couples. End of quote. So does that mean that this, what is written down here, is not correct?
The 20 couples marriage took place earlier, that is before I was taken away and killed. And the marriage took place at the commune office, and at the time 2 or 3 couples were gathered from each village, and they were then arranged to marry at the commune chief. As for my marriage, it was private, and it was conducted later on, almost towards the end of the regime, that is near 1979.
donc
So my question, therefore, remains the same. When it's written in the statement, during the collective marriage, there were 20 couples, this is false, erroneous, correct?
But I'm not sure, Councillor, I follow, because one sentence, I didn't look at it myself, but I listened to you. The first sentence deals with his own marriage. The second sentence deals with a collective marriage. Is there one sentence which actually binds the two and says, I was part of the collective marriage?
moi,
Well, in my translation, in French in any case, what I read in French, and I will quote again, I got married during the Khmer Rouge regime, but it was not by force. I volunteered myself. That day, we were 20 couples to get married. So I'm just noting what appears to be a blatant contradiction here.
The co-prosecutor, you have the floor.
Merci, monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe there is a translation issue because in English it's not quite the same thing. Let me quote what is stated in English at page 01069283.
Wouldn't it be more interesting to read the Khmer, which was the original language, and translate it, so then it's clarified?
Mais juste pour finir,
Well, just to finish with what I was saying,
but it was not by force. I volunteered myself, full stop, and then there's another sentence. During the collective marriage, there were 20 couples. So, maybe in Khmer, someone.
Political lawyer for civil parties, you have the floor. Mr. President, allow me to read an excerpt from his statement in Khmer. I got married during the Khmer Rouge regime, and I was not forced. I volunteered. During the collective marriage, there were 20 couples. Full stop. At that time, I actually asked her if she minded my scars that I had, and she agreed to marry me. My relatives did not force me to get married. Thank you. And Counsel for Kiel Sampon, you may resume your questioning.
well, I will stop here under these circumstances.
Thank you, Counsel. And Mr. John Binns, towards the conclusion of your testimony, do you wish to make any statement regarding your harm and suffering? Or do you wish to put the questions to the accused through me, the President of the Chamber? If you wish to do so, now is your chance. Civil party, I'd like to ask them, because during the regime we were told to go for study sessions, and why we were lied to, why we were taken for execution. We worked in a mobile unit, and as I said, it was a civilian mobile unit and not a military unit. So again, my question to them is that why they use the pretext that we were sent for a study session, but instead we were taken to be executed. President, the Chamber wishes to inform you that so far the accused remained to exercise their right to remain silent. And Mr. Jun Bin, the Chamber is grateful of your statement of harm and suffering that you allege you suffered during the Democratic Cambodia regime in relation to the internal purchase segment. You may be excused, and the Chamber is also grateful of Mr. Bon Lam Hu, the TPO staff, for your assistance. You are also excused. And court officer, please work with Visu to return to Mr. Yun Bin to his residence or wherever he wishes to go to. You two may leave the courtroom. And court officer, please, next, usher civil party to TCCP 1051 into the courtroom. President. Good morning, Madam Civil Party. What is your name? And please wait for the microphone to be operational before you respond. Civil Party. My name is Kanson Thara. Question: and when were you born? Answer: I was born on the 16th of November 1952. Question: and where is your current address? Answer: I live in Kampong Speu province, in Rumlong Pro Klek village, Sampoh Tep commune, Chaba Mon district. Question: and what is your current occupation? Answer: I am a retiree, and before that I was a teacher. Question: what are the names of your parents? Answer: Kanwat is my father and Chain Pon is my mother. Question: what is your husband's name and how many children do you have? Answer: Yun Puch is my husband and I have 2 children. President, thank you. And Madam Kanson Thara, as a civil party in the proceedings before this chamber, you may make a statement of harm and suffering in relation to the crimes alleged against the 2 accused, that is Nunchi and Khieu Sampon, which were inflicted upon you during the Democratic Cambodia regime, and that led you to become a civil party in this case to claim the collective and moral reparations from the accused for physical, material, or mental injuries as direct consequences of those crimes. And the chamber hands the floor first to the lead co-lawyers for civil parties to put questions to this civil party. You may proceed. Good morning, Mr. President. I seek your leave to cede the floor to Mr. Hong Kam Soon, the civil party lawyer, to put questions to Madam Kanson Thara. President, civil party lawyer, you have the floor. Hong Kam Soon, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors, and good morning, everyone. My name is Hong Kam Soon. I am a lawyer for civil parties. I'd like to put some questions to Madam Kanson Thara in relation to her statement of harm and suffering. And Madam Civil Party, could you describe briefly in relation to your living condition prior to 17 April 1975, namely where you live and what you did? Answer: before 17 April 1975, I lived in Sankat number Lake Pram in Phnom Penh. Thank you. Question: were you living with your family and how many members altogether? Answer: there were 5 members in my family, namely my parents, my elder brother, my elder sister, and myself. Question: besides your parents, were your elder siblings married? Answer. My elder brother got married, and for that reason he left us and lived with his wife. My elder sister had 3 children, and she was living in the same house. I myself had a child, and my second child was underway since I was pregnant, and I was living with my parents. Question. And on 17 April 1975, that is the day the Khmer Rouge took control of Phnom Penh city, did you leave the city or did you go anywhere else? Answer. On the 18th April, we left our house in Sangkat Lei Pram and we walked along the river bank and we reached Saang district in Kandahar province. We were told to return to live in Satabo commune. Question. You said that it was on the 18th of April. Are you sure it was the 18th and not the 17th? Answer. We were told to leave on the 17th, but my family stayed overnight, and only next morning, that is the 18th, we left our house. And we did not bring much belongings with us. Question. You said you were married and you had a daughter and another one was on the way. Can you tell the chamber how many months were you into a pregnancy? Answer. I cannot recall that clearly. I was almost due. I was about 8 or 9 months pregnant. Question. And where did you deliver your baby then? Answer. When we arrived in Saang, we were told to return to live in Satabo commune. So we cut trees, bamboo trees to make a makeshift cottage. And a few days later, I delivered my second child, that is my son. 2 midwives came to assist my delivery, and they were pretty young. They were about 12 years old. Question. You said midwives who were about 12 years old came to help you during your delivery. Were they trained? Were they trained midwives? And they did not really know much. There was my elder sister who was there to assist me, and it was a safe delivery. Question. Were you provided with a medicine or facility to assist you and your newborn child? And no, there was none. And the midwives came empty-handed. We had some medicine with us, but we were not even allowed to use it. In fact, I had some medicine and some syringes with me, and they were taken away from me. And I did not even have the traditional medicine to assist me or to build firewood to help me after the delivery. Question. What about your newborn child? Did you have enough breast milk to feed him? Answer. I did not have much breast milk, so I picked some rose tree leaves from the fences outside the house. I cooked it with salt in order for me to have enough milk to feed my son. Unfortunately, he did not live long. When he was about 2 years old, he could not even walk. He was so emaciated. and as a result he died. Question, and can you recall in which year that he died? Answer, my first child died in 1977, in around June 77. As for my second child, died also in September of that year. Question, you spoke about the first and the second child. Can you tell the chamber the names of your child and how old they were when they died? Answer, my first daughter was Puttari. She was 5 years old. She attracted dysentery and her body was swollen. When I went to work, she was left with someone to look after, and when I returned, I saw her eating snail and other thing. I actually slapped her not to eat this food, and I believe it's the cause of malnutrition that she became severely sick. When she was sick, I asked for permission to take her to the hospital, but it was denied. And only when she became so seriously sick, I was allowed to take her to the hospital. And a while after, she died. That is in relation to my first child. Again, for my second child, only after he became very seriously sick and became unconscious, I was allowed to take him to the hospital. But the medic could not save him. Question, you spoke about your first and second child who died from lack of medicine or from lack of food. When your child or children became sick, did your husband try to help them? Answer, in 1976, men were separated from women and they were placed in a mobile unit at a further distance from where we lived. And only about every 10 days they were allowed to return home. When my first child was sick or died, my husband did not know, and only later on when he returned, he didn't see my child and asked where she was or whether I beat her and then she died. But I told her no, she died from sickness. Again, for my second child, he was not aware of the death of my second child since he was in a mobile unit. He hoped that our second child would survive.
My next question is also about your husband. When your second child, who was a son and died when he was 2 years old, did your husband come to see your son before his death? Answer, no, he did not come to see the children despite the severe illness of the children. He was busy working, and he even did not aware that the child died. He disappeared on the same day that the child died. After my child's death, I left the hospital and came back to work at the work site. And there were male workers walking on the embankment, and I tried to look at one by one, and I did not see him. So during the break time, I went to the male group and asked for him, and those men said that my husband was taken away yesterday, and they had no idea where he would be taken to. So I told myself that, oh, he disappeared on the same day that my child died. Council, I think it's time for the break. President, it is now convenient time for a break. And I would like to remind to inform the council that you have 15 minutes live for the next session. The chamber will take a break from now until 1:30. Please be informed. The afternoon session we will continue to hear the statement on harm and suffering of civil party Kan Suntara. Madame Kan Suntara, your hearing of your statement has not concluded yet. Therefore, we would like to invite you back into the courtroom at 1:30. Security officer, please assist Khieu Sampon to the holding cell downstairs and bring him back into the courtroom before 1:30. The court is now in recess.